When he was essentially hosed by the DNC and dismissed by the media, this was supposed to be his time. Then in Iowa, despite getting the most votes, he ended up with fewer delegates than Pete Buttigieg, giving the former mayor a rosy press narrative going into New Hampshire. But even when Bernie pulled out a clear victory in New Hampshire, it's still not even treated like a win.
The big winner last night could be Mayor Bloomberg.
Buttigieg and Klobuchar and Biden split the moderate vote, with their combined percentage overwhelming that of Sanders.
We've got two moderate candidates who come out of this in very strong shape tonight.
Again, they'll support anybody except the guy who actually won. But the reason is obvious. The establishment and the elites don't want the curmudgeon socialist Bernie Sanders to run away with the nomination. And because what would that do? That would upend their comfy, if ineffective, status quo. Now, Joe Biden was supposed to stop him, but we feel the need to stop him from embarrassing himself. Call the caregiver. The man should be doing some age-appropriate group activities that will keep his mind active. But campaigning shouldn't be one of them for poor old Biden. Now, given all this, where are the party apparatchiks and media toadies going to turn to now? To the person whom I dubbed last winter as the left's new it boy. The newest darling of journalists, Hollywooders, and Metro lefties is the mayor of South Bend, Indiana. The coastal elites, I don't think they've ever loved a Midwesterner as much as they love Pete. He's a charmer. Well, he looked dashing in his Army fatigues, too, right? I mean, a policy wonk, a Harvard guy, Rhodes Scholar. Yet he's very modest. He's a modern-day Renaissance man.
God bless Pete Buttigieg, but he kind of talks at the level of Mr. Rogers. And with that sort of composure and poise, and he just did it up here on the stage in New Hampshire. He speaks in perfect sentences. It's impressive. He's an amazing human being.
Doesn't Pete just make you all feel inadequate? And there's more. Pete evolves, too.
We're talking about growing as a candidate. Yeah. The guy was mayor of South Bend, Indiana, and now is, co-frontrunner perhaps for the Democratic nomination.
Wait, a co-frontrunner? Is that what they said? Well, I guess technically maybe you could say that, but he's polling 13 points behind Bernie Sanders nationally, not to mention that in the next two nominating contests, Nevada and South Carolina, he's at 7% and 5.5%, respectively. We needed to get the 0.5% in. But what he lacks in popularity on Main Street, come on, Pete makes up for it more than that on Wall Street. Let's face it, they want to hedge against Bernie. And they know Pete will be putty in the hands of someone like President Xi, and that's good for the globalists. At first glance, Buttigieg seems to have a really pretty good political resume, right? He's a former small-town mayor, a Army reservist, Rhodes Scholar, and the first gay presidential candidate. But while he may be a first, like Obama had both charisma and at least he had been a senator. Buttigieg really is kind of a bland composite of a lot of things, but with zero relevant experience. The only thing he's ever run, South Bend, Indiana, is a crime-ridden mess. Violent crime surged 70% during his time as mayor, while the country as a whole saw crime fall by 2% in that same time frame. But pay no attention to the facts. Just keep hinting that he's like Obama, except gay and white.
There's no question at all that Pete Buttigieg is occupying a bit of that Obama lane.
Reminds me a little bit of early Obama in the campaign.
Like Barack Obama before him, Pete is young, he's inspiring, he brings fresh ideas to the table.
Well, unlike Obama, who could inspire with his supporters with soaring rhetoric, remember that 2004 DNC speech, and grand idealism, when Buttigieg tries to make profound statements, he just ends up sounding like an idiot.
It is time to walk away from the politics of the past and towards something totally different. By this time, it's not just about winning an election. It's about winning an era.
The shape of our democracy is the issue that affects every other issue.
That taking out a bad guy is not a good idea if you do not know what you were doing.
Wow. Deep. For self-absorbed liberals, Buttigieg, though, is kind of like an ink splotch. He's a Rorschach test. They read into him what they want to see, even if it's not there. Their seething hatred of all things Trump has turned otherwise reasonably intelligent Democrats into puddles of goo, looking for their next crush. But like all shallow crushes,